From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan
And Corey Clark.
You think it's a game? Come on!
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. Coming up on today's show, it's the People's Show, Renegade Express, taking all the questions from our subscribers over on the Warchant.com Tribal Council. You, too, should be a subscriber to Warchant.com. You can do it right now for only $1. Not sure how much longer it's going to last, but for real, $1 American dollar, 365 days of access to Warchant.com, every single thing on that website. Message boards, Corey's columns, Ira's columns, Jeans.bombs, Michael Langston recruiting analysis, Tom Lang's observations, everything, access, $1, whole year. Do it, warchant.com. Thumbs up, 5-star rating and review. We are presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, which this Friday, today, 5:30, it's official, Corey. The happy hour kicks off with Jeff Cameron and Corey Clark live at Corner Pocket. Live show on YouTube if you can't make it to Tallahassee for game week. But if you're in town, stop by the Corner Pocket, get some great food, hang out with some great folks, and listen to some great dudes talk about Nole football. That would be Jeff and Corey. Corey, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. We made it. This is the last day before the college football season begins, man. I can't believe it. And we're a part of week 0.
Amazing.
We're part of week 0, man. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, so we'll be at the Corner Pocket at 5:30 to 6:30. Come say hey after the show. We'll probably hang around for a little bit before we head over to Ira's for the big traditional get-together. Warchant traditional, patio party before the start of the season. I don't know that we're going to be able to do it next year, though, right? Because won't the first game be in Orlando?
Correct. That is correct.
Yeah. We're going to have to do it from his balcony, whatever hotel he gets, whatever Disney property he's on.
We're going to take a couple questions from the Renegade Express. I think everybody went on strike. They're like, we will not do these new rules. Only 3 people posted. Kind of sad.
What? Is that true?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
Yeah, we got over 30.
I was going to say, I thought it was over 30 when I saw it.
Yeah, I was bracing for more, but I guess they're saving their thunder for the LSU game. Before we get to those, it happened, I think, maybe when we were recording a little bit earlier in the day when we did the live show, or maybe just I didn't see it. But what are your thoughts on apparently Michael Alford, athletics director for Florida State University, saying that he would, I guess, prefer to see Miami defeat Texas A&M? The internet was not very pleased with that statement.
Yeah, I mean, I understand his sentiment, I guess. It's better for the conference because the conference so far, it struggles out of the gate every year. It hasn't had a lot of, other than Clemson, it just does not win marquee games. I get that. But no, that was an incredibly dumb thing to say by a very smart person. You don't root for Miami under any circumstance, right? Unless them beating Texas A&M gets you into the national championship game somehow.
Or the playoff.
You do not ever beat. Like the one time, there's been a couple times Florida State fans had to cheer for Florida. The 92 SEC championship game of Florida State, if Florida could have won that game instead of my man Matthews throwing the pick 6, if Florida could have won that game, Florida State plays Alabama, or Florida State plays in the national championship game, but Florida lost. And then in the 2000 Sugar Bowl, Florida played Miami. And if Florida would have won that game, Miami would have had no claim to the national championship, but Miami won that game. It didn't matter because Florida State lost to Oklahoma the next night anyway, but those are the only 2 times I can ever recall trying to cheer for Florida. I can never recall cheering for Miami ever. Can you?
No. When
and
they
it's
play
not
Florida,
starting
when they play against Florida, I will.
Oh, well, yeah, there you go. It's the lesser of 2 evils.
Yes.
And, yeah, if one of them has to win, you'd rather it be an ACC team. Yeah, that happened a few years ago, right? Down in the Orange Bowl, I think they upset them.
Even in the olden days, I don't know, when they played did they play in the Sugar Bowl the one year that we went to the national title game? Like we backdoored in there. We didn't backdoor, but the year we lost Oklahoma, didn't Florida play Miami in the bowl game?
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah, but that's what we were cheering for Florida was when they were playing Miami in the Sugar Bowl that year. In 2000.
Yes, I was rooting for Miami. Yes, I hate both of them.
Of course.
But Florida's.
Oh, you were rooting for Miami even in that game?
Yeah, I don't like Florida. I don't want Florida to win anything. I don't want them to win in forensics. I don't want them to win like a science fair.
But there could have been a chance that even if Florida State had beaten Oklahoma like 14-13, people would have voted Miami number 1 because they both finished with the same record, and Miami was more convincing in their win. That's why I was rooting for Florida. But it didn't matter. That Miami team ended up being pretty good. Don't know if you guys remember that. But yeah, that's not a smart thing to say, man. You need to walk that back. You're never cheering for Miami. Why would you cheer for Miami against Texas A&M? You don't have any ill will towards Jimbo Fisher. That didn't happen on your watch. You always want Miami to lose, and you want Miami to get humiliated, and it's better for your program if they do. I get that there's some conference pride there, but we're not the SEC mouth breathers, man. We don't care that much about conference pride.
And we ain't trying to hang around here much longer, Mikey. Come on, man. We're trying to get out of here.
Exactly right. Exactly right, my man. You should have been like, no, I love everything about the SEC. I love what the SEC is doing. Big Ten, too. I'm rooting for all the Big Ten teams this week. Don't cheer for Miami, ever.
Played a little Creed in the background. With arms wide open. Let me in. Greg, let us in. Yeah. Greg, let us in. With arms. All right, let's get to the questions. I'll try to mention everybody's name and maybe briefly read the question, and we'll let you know that we've replied to it on the Tribal Council due to time constraints. Island Chief's first in, so no matter what he asked, we will maybe we should do something where, like, if you're the first 5 in, no matter what, we will answer it on air. But we'll talk about that in a post-production meeting at another point in time. Island Chief, wake up. Game week is here. We get a glimpse of who we are because you are what your record says you are. I'm excited to see players who are just better athletes out there competing for Florida State. That is part of the climb. So anyway, the coaches ask you guys to not report injuries until it comes from the team. But do they ever ask that you not report on a guy because they have plans for him that they want to keep on the down low? Or do they ask you to hype a player because they want to maybe influence an opponent? Let's get to 10,000 members, everybody, and support all those who make it possible for the great coverage here. It's $1.
I'd say let's get to 20,000. Let's not stop at 10. Let's go to 20. But that's a great sentiment. I appreciate it, Island Chief. And the answer to those two questions is no. They do not ask us to hype anybody up. That would be I wouldn't do that anyway. Like that's just like let's just say that I'm not going to even. Let's say John Smith was this walk-on safety that hadn't done much, and then Norvell's like, "Hey man, can you go in there and write up John Smith? I feel he's a good kid. Can you say that he had a couple interceptions and he's been playing great?" I would be like, "No, I can't. I can't actively lie to people.
Right.
You know, that's just not what we do." And I don't think Norvell, and in fact, I know Norvell would not ask us to do that because he hasn't. Either way, like he hasn't asked us if somebody's playing well to keep it on the down low. He did tell us to shut up about Johnny Wilson. You were there for that, right, Aslan? He's like, guys, come on.
Man, he kept just staring at you like, Corey, yeah. What's your deal?
Yeah, why you keep bringing it? No. So, no, he would never – he doesn't talk to us about any of that. The only real rule at all is just the injuries. They want it to come from the team, and that's the only real rule while we're out there.
Yeah,
no trick plays, too, right? We wouldn't – but right. we're smart enough to know not to comment on those anyway.
Listen, at the end of the day, we're not employed by Florida State University. We want to see them be successful, obviously selfishly, because either our affinity for the school that we attended or grew up watching, or simply the fact that for business it's good. But we're still pretty objective dudes, I would like to think, over at Warchant. I think most people on the beat are. Most everybody on that beat either grew up liking Florida State or going to Florida State. I don't sense a lot of homerism. We don't have that sort of LSU, SEC homerism where, like, that dude that hopped on Jeff's show apparently talks about LSU as though, like, Joe Burrow's still there.
Yeah.
Matt Moscone is a nice human being, but just it's crazy how much – maybe that's people want that more from us, but I can't do it, man, because I cringe when I hear them do it, and I don't want to be that guy. I know you guys want me to be more positive and uplifting. I'm not purposely being more cynical, but I'm just – I will never – only like if I covered the team in 2013, yes, I would have been all over it. 2014, I would have been totally hyper defensive about everything and been like, why is everybody coming at Florida State? Because they were winning games. But right now, they don't win. They lose more than they win. It's kind of math. That's how it goes. But they tell us things that would become a competitive disadvantage do not share. They said that, listen, they let us attend practice so we know what we're talking about, what we're writing about. Not maybe what we're going to write about observation-wise and share every detail, but just so you have an idea, this is why this kid isn't playing. This is why this kid is playing. They do not want us to share stuff that would be deemed a competitive disadvantage. Guys being hurt, depth charts, certain formations, things like that. And I think we do a pretty good job of that. So,
Agreed.
Noel Holla. Good morning, fellas. I heard Corey Clark on Seminole Headlines and then again on Wake Up Warchant on Wednesday morning talking about Johnny Wilson, referencing him getting jammed by defensive backs comparable to how Kelvin Benjamin was in the Florida game in 2013, and until Kelvin just started rough handling them. Do you think maybe Coach Mike Norvell, has made Johnny watch a replay of what Corey was referencing? And Corey, if you haven't tried Ocean Spray Cran Mango 5.0 with your vodka, you need to try it. Thanks for the read. Go Noles.
Okay, that's in the mental Rolodex now. Not the Rolodex. That's not the word I was looking for. But I made a mental note of that. You don't make notes in the Rolodex. That's my point. You write down numbers. So I'm not writing down a phone number. But I don't know if he's. I would doubt that that's probably happened. It should though. Maybe Ron Dugan's has shown it. You know what I mean? Maybe Ron Dugan's been like, hey, this is what we want you to be. This guy, and show that, just show that game. Like, show that one play. I think it was the touchdown right before the half where he literally took his right arm, and I think it was Purifoy that was covering him. It wasn't Hargraves. It was the other corner, so I think that was Purifoy. He grabbed him by his right arm and literally threw him into the bench and then was wide open walking into the end zone for like a 20-yard touchdown pass right before the and that was on the heels of him breaking tackles from the entire team on the first touchdown of that game. So show him that. Just show him how you have to be physical with these guys, because, again, they are just going to – LSU in particular and Florida at the end of the year, maybe Miami too, Clemson, those four teams in particular, they are going to try to punk you. Now, they might learn their lesson really quick, but that's his goal this first, half of the season, because they are going to try to get in his face. All these teams that have pretty good athletes or good athletes like LSU does. Duquesne might back up a little bit. I have a sneaking suspicion they might be playing off the ball a little bit, those corners. But LSU and the like are going to get in his face, man. That's how they play. And that's what you're supposed to try to do with – look, he is a big receiver. They have no idea how physical he is. He hasn't done it yet. He's had, 12, 15 catches in his career? So they will challenge him, and he's got to answer the challenge.
Well said, Corey. I agree. I don't know if they're showing him film yet, but I'm sure they're challenging him because, the only way you can compete with size like that is to try to out-physical the dude off the line. So I'm sure he'll be ready for those challenges that will be presented his way. Let's go 30 seconds on this one. Quay 6. Waffles, pancakes, French toast. Pick one.
Pancakes. Not even a close. There's not even a close second.
That is so far third. French toast 1 and waffles pretty neck and neck, and then pancakes just so far off the radar.
I haven't had a French toast probably in 20 years. Just never, the powdered sugar, whatever it is, the cinnamon, just never tickled my fancy, man. But pancakes, like a side of pancakes, those 3, get the warm butter that melts in the middle when the syrup on it. I prefer syrup.
Go? The syrup just disappears. Like it soaks it up, but then it's not there at the same time. Pancakes are just an absolute riddle to me. Absolute riddle.
So back in my heavier days, I might have partaken, at a famous pancakes that's international, famous pancake house that's international. I would order my big meal, the regular breakfast, but they'd have those side of pancakes too, and I'd eat half of them. But man, oh boy, were they good! Just loaded up with butter and syrup. But I don't do that anymore. I'm starting to get hungry. I need to stop talking.
Well, one of the days next week when we're in New Orleans, we'll go to the Ruby Slipper Cafe, and you'll have some of their French toast. I'll pay for it.
I'm not. I'll have a bite of it. I don't like French toast, so it might be the best French toast on earth. I'm going to eat an omelet. But that is a plan. Stephanie and I have already talked about going to the Ruby Slipper, so we'll be there, buddy.
All right. Dalvinism. Get it, like Calvinism?
Mm-hmm.
Dalvinism. Smart. Wake up! Thank you both for getting us through the brutal offseason. You're welcome.
You are welcome.
I can't help but look at what Florida did with Billy Napier and how they're building out a massive recruiting staff in the Kirby Smart, Nick Saban model that is immediately paying off on the trail. Is it? I mean, I don't know. I haven't paid that much attention to recruiting. Sorry, buddy. I haven't heard about them getting 5 stars. And they also got big-time assistant coaches. Did they? Come on, Dalvinism. I don't know. Or how about Miami going out and getting Clemson's athletic director and making big-time offseason moves under Mario? Obviously, Florida State hasn't been able to keep up in the arms race, but do you think that is solely due to lack of resources or because Norvell prefers his guys and doesn't think he needs to build a recruiting Death Star to win a championship?
Well, no, he needs a recruiting Death Star. I mean, look, man, I wrote a column this week about you didn't even pimp it on the show, Aslan. I wish you would. I wish you'd pimp the stuff I write. I don't understand what you have against my writing. But I wrote a column. I wrote a column about the transfers and how he's just knocked it out of the park in the transfer portal, and I do agree with that. But he still has to prove he can knock it out recruiting because he hasn't. He's been okay. Like when you've had a losing record the last 5 years, it's going to be hard to finish top 5. But at Florida State, you shouldn't be hovering around 25 either. And I think that's about where he is now with this class. That's kind of where he was last year. Now, obviously, Travis Hunter would have helped that probably 6 points, 6 spots if you get the number 1 player in the country. So that was a bit of a bummer and unfortunate. But he better be trying to. The job of a college football head coach, the number 1 job is talent acquisition. It has to be. Everything else is vitally important as well. That 2016 team, like we talked about, had it didn't have Derwin James. It did for a couple days. It had Dalvin Cook. It had a lot of DeMarcus Walker. It had some really good football players. And it almost finished with 5 losses because there was a fracture going on there. But it was so supremely talented, it still won 10 games. You have to go get players, man. You can build all the foundation and all the guts you want and make this a strong program from within. I think he's done that. But, man, if you don't have the talent to go with it, your ceiling is only so high. So, yeah, I don't know what he needs to do, and this probably isn't I'm not even answering the question, but his number 1 objective for as long as he's the Florida State coach is talent acquisition. Get 4- and 5-star future NFL players on this roster, as many as possible.
I think I know where the question stems from. I think Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated tweeted out a photo, the Florida team photo that they took inside that dump called the Swamp. And I think he counted out, he might have been exaggerating, but I think there may have literally been more guys in polo shirts than jerseys. And he's like, it's impressive what Billy Napier's done at Florida in terms of building out a staff. And Florida State has built out the staff, maybe not to that degree. I don't think Norvell thinks like I'm just going to do it my way. I don't need all this sort of stuff. He asked for what he wanted and got it. By and large, it seems like Michael Alford kind of gave him, I don't want to say carte blanche, but listen, they hired a lot of guys. We can't park anywhere. There's nowhere to park anymore out front of the Moore Center because all these people that work there now. It's incredible. And I think Napier said that is like all the nutritionists, all the student managers, all the video coordinators, because he's like, look, it takes all these. He kind of wanted to show everybody behind the scenes, like it takes all these people to run a program. If you put all of Florida State's people, the SIDs, the nutrition staff, the strength staff, all the managers that are running around out there every practice, it would look similar. Not quite as much, but they have hired a lot of dudes. It is the biggest, I have to imagine it's the biggest staff in Florida State history. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So, and I just looked it up on On3 rankings, the recruiting rankings. Yeah. Miami is 9th.
I had it up for you, Corey, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah, okay, my bad. So Miami is 9th, Florida is 10th, and Florida State is 19th. So not terrible, not the dregs of the earth. They've gotten some good commits, and they're on some more. If you can hover around there, and then I really feel like they think the next class that what would that be, the 24 class?
Yeah.
They have a chance to have a top 10, top 5-ish class if things break right and they win some games this year, which would be vitally important to do. But they're not 50th. They're not that far behind Florida and Miami when it comes to the current recruiting landscape.
Well said. Thanks for the question, Dalvinism. Let's get back to the ponies here. Let me get back to the proper thread. Random_John, good morning, Aslan and Corey. May game week find you healthy and covering a winning team. I know. Also, if this is going to go the TV show Bachelor style, I hope you pick and give me a spear this week. Yeah, there we go. It's like a rose. We're going to read your question.
There you go. All right, yeah.
I was doing some scouting on the Duquesne Dukes. They have quite the shakeup at receiver. Their top receiver is a sophomore who's only 5'9". Their starting quarterback is going to be seeing his first action since the first game of last year. The offensive line will have a brand-new left tackle, left guard, and right guard. I don't know if that's true. I think it's just left tackle, left guard. I think they have their center, right guard, and right tackle back. That's what my research showed, but Random_John may be correct. As defensively, they have a bunch of new coaches. This is true. They got a new coordinator. But he used to be their linebackers coach under their previous defensive coordinator, so I'm sure there's a little bit of familiarity. They lost their top tackler, and their best defensive back only had 6 pass breakups all last season. I know Corey's worried about an 18-year head coach, but it is not Bobby Bowden's 1994 team.
Correct.
Running out of that tunnel. With that said, how many yards through the air and then on the ground do you expect? Do you also believe that we will see Jared Verse have a game like Kando against Delaware State? How about Jordan Travis looking like Jameis against Pitt 2013? Anyway, what we all want to see is everybody spend $1 and subscribe to Warchant. Drink your DeLuna, eat your Zaxby's, and on Saturday go to Corner Pocket and watch the game. Or on Friday, too, for the happy hours. You're listening to this. Go later tonight. Hang out with Corey and Jeff. Go Noles.
You can actually go to the game too, and then go to Corner Pocket afterwards. Yeah. To celebrate. We hope a big win. 250 of each, running and throwing. That's have some balance, like exact balance. I mean, you're going to want to run. If you can't run against Duquesne, you're in trouble. I think they can run. You almost hope they can run at will. They as big as they are up front, and Duquesne isn't quite that big on the line of scrimmage. But yeah, going back to the receiver part, I think they lost everybody from their receiving core last year. And if you know Duquesne's receiving core last year, who doctor? But I mean, it was a 7-3 football team or 8-3. They had a winning record, but I think they only returned total. Their whole receiving core has caught 14 passes in its career. So
no, that was their top three. That's like the top three receivers on their depth chart have total of 14.
Oh, I thought it was the whole, like nobody that's going to start has done anything at the college level, at least for Duquesne. I think they had a kid transfer in from Marist.
Yeah.
But so you need to kind of dominate that matchup. Your corners are too good and too talented, or they should be anyway, theoretically, to give up a lot of plays out wide to that receiving core that has done next to nothing in its entire career.
Yeah, I was thinking about it after we did Warchant Report, which should be up probably or soon as you're listening to this. Like Florida State is not in, they lived it last year in terms of having a important game, and a FCS opponent preceding that important game, right? There was things they did with Alex Mastromano. They wanted to put on film, everybody. Remember, they had the punter out there kicking left-footed to make Wake Forest nervous, and then they end up botching that game. Lesson has to be learned. I really do believe they will pour it on heavily, and then they will not pull out Jordan Travis until Duquesne is just beaten to a pulp. So that said, I want to see him throw for over 285. I know he's going to hand the ball off a lot. They'll probably be able to run the ball quite well. Now Duquesne's got their whole. They run a 3-4. They're starting three. Their bearer front. They all come back. One of their dudes is a all-conference Northeast Conference selection. So, but I'll take my chances on that. But yeah, I want to see Jordan throw it around, man, and I think they'll keep him out there for a long while before. I
don't know, man. I kind of. Well, look, it depends on. I mean, I think if you get up by 4 to 5 scores, and you're in the third quarter, you got to get those other guys some reps. You just have to, and you've got to keep your quarterback healthy. Like if he has a nice game and he can take something positive, even if he's 11 of 13 for 180. If he can take something positive into next week, that's fine. You just don't want to end him on a sour note if you're in control of the game. But, man, I do think you got to get Rodemaker some work. You've got to get him to actually have a moment that matters. I mean, it won't because theoretically he's up by a lot of points. But it's a game that matters. Have him do something in a football game, a real live college football game where he can take something into the next week and then the rest of the season. But your point, I get it. It'd be nice to see but I mean, it's nice to see Jordan have a good game and throw for big yardage. I just don't know if you're operating the way you should. I would think 8 drives from the starters. If you score on 6 of them, that's probably a wrap. I don't know that you need to play more than that.
Mark Naples, M. Adams, CZ. Wake up. Counting the days down to New Orleans. Great idea by the Warchant staff to rent a house. Who is more likely to stay up late playing poker and gambling? Who is more likely to wake up early, grab some New Orleans chicory coffee, and take a morning jog down the St. Charles street line? I guess Jeff on the latter, Corey on the former.
Well, and I won't be at the house. So to answer that question, I'm at the casino. So the answer is me. I'm staying at the casino. So because I might have had some points, some Caesars Rewards points from some visits up to Cherokee, North Carolina over the last couple of years, last 3 or 4 years. So I was able to get a very good deal on the hotel in New Orleans. So that will be me. I would think Tom is an early riser.
Yeah, but he's going to take a morning jog down the street. I can see him waking up early, but I could see Jeff waking up, drinking coffee, and then taking a jog.
Jeff's not going jogging. Who's going to go jogging? Honestly, if there's anyone, is Tom's wife, Jamie.
Okay.
She is a runner. She likes to jog. I don't get you people, but she likes to jog. So I would say her. Not you though, huh? You don't think you're going to be one of those guys?
No. Is it jogging or is it yog? Is it a soft J?
It's a soft J. Yeah, it's a soft J. It's yogging. Yeah, it's yogging.
I'm curious to see how you comport yourself at the poker table. I wonder if you're still fun-loving, happy-go-lucky Corey Clark, or if you get a little bit on tilt.
Oh, buddy, I don't play poker. I know I'm walking into a snake pit when I go sit down at a poker table. We're not all friends. Like, we're not all playing the dealer. We're playing each other, and I hate that. I hate being bluffed. So if I'm going to play, I'll either play Pai Gow, which is a form of poker, but you're playing the dealer, or just blackjack or craps. Those are the three games that I typically play. I don't like playing other people at the table. I think it's bad vibes when you do that.
Also, hey, real quick, burying the lead a little bit of all the cool stuff that we're promoting these days. Over-unders will be up on the website as you are listening to this. If you're a member, go to warchant.com's Tribal Council and put in your over-under selections. The grand prize winner will get a $50 e-card to garnet in gold. It's very important that you follow the directions, though, when it comes to putting in your picks. Like, I just need you to number them and then give me either an O or a U. I don't need you to, like, write out the prop and then over, like, and then just 1 to 6, O, U. The announced attendance, 61,500. That's going to be one of the over-unders. Trey Benson rushing yards, 64.5 yards. Tatum Bethune tackles, 7.5. Johnny Wilson catches, 4.5. That's just wet in the beak for the full line from our guys at the Williams Casino. Check it out, warchant.com. Back to Mark. Good interview Jeff did on the Jeff Cameron show with that guy from the LSU beat. He was very complimentary of the defensive lines for both teams, also shared his concern about Florida, or rather LSU's offensive line. We have our own concerns on the O-line against their D-line, which led me to think both quarterbacks could be running for their lives, and this could be a low-scoring slugfest. I'm also concerned about their receivers if Jaden Daniels has even a little time to throw. Duke Cooper will have to step it up. What other defensive backs will get a lot of playing time and need to step it up to avoid their receivers making one big play after the next? Also, what's your go-to New Orleans dish next week? Is it red beans and rice, jambalaya, etouffee, gumbo, fried catfish, collards, or something else? Crawfish, not in season, but I'm sure you can find some. See you guys soon. Go Noles. Charbroiled oysters for your guy here. All that other stuff's got hog in it. I don't need hog. Charbroiled oysters. I usually go to Drago's. I think I might go check out Acme. I'll let you know what I think about them versus Drago's. And then,
I'll definitely have some gumbo. If there's not a line at Mother's, I'll go. I did this one time. I think we ate at the Root. I can't remember. Stephanie and I just had lunch at a really nice place in New Orleans. We literally are coming out of there, and Mother's is across the street, or we're walking and we see the Mother's, and there's no line, which is never really the case. And I'm like, well, let's go. We literally just ate like 7 minutes before. But I'm like, it's never like this, so let me go and just get a little bit of everything. This might have been back in my heavier days, guys. But I got a cup of red beans and rice, a cup of jambalaya, and a cup of gumbo. And I had like 4 bites of each because I really was stuffed. But when you're in New Orleans and there's no line at Mother's, go partake. And so I did. But gumbo is something I will definitely have, probably multiple times.
I went once. I thought it was a little bit overrated, but I don't know. It was like what the turkey. They give you something. They call it like turkey debris is what they give you, like part of your breakfast. I'm like, what is that?
It's like the drippings almost of the turkey that they've cut up. Yeah. So you're getting like the juices and the fatty part of the turkey maybe.
Yeah. So,
don't eat that then. Don't go for breakfast.
Well, all right. I'll check something else out. Yeah, I don't know. Low scoring slugfest. I'm not that concerned about their receivers. Keyshawn Butte scares me. Besh, Caucasian receiver, 40 catches last year as a true freshman. Just feels like that's somebody that Florida State usually struggles with historically.
Caucasian receivers, is that what you said?
No judgment.
Okay.
Just for some reason doesn't seem to work in our favor all that often. But we'll see if they can maybe get on the board good against Duquesne's dudes. I think maybe Kevin Noles. Maybe Kevin Noles is the guy that's really going to have to step it up. Maybe Besh is going to operate largely from the slot. Or are you more worried about their tight ends matching up on the linebackers core when it comes to? They got some big tight ends that can move pretty well. Or is Keyshawn Butte what you're mostly concerned about? And do you see a low-scoring slugfest? I
don't see that necessarily. I don't know what low-scoring even is anymore in college football. Is that like 23-20? I would say whoever wins will be in the 30s. So maybe one team is low scoring, but whoever wins, I think, will be in the 30s. No, man, when you've got we think Butte is a potential first round pick, right?
Yes.
Yeah, man, those are tough. And they are going to get. Brian Kelly's a smart guy. He is going to find ways to get him the ball and get him in one-on-one matchups, and you've got to step up. Now, I assume he's 100%. He certainly looked 100% on the one clip that we saw from that practice. If he's 100%, yeah, that's going to be that to me is maybe the game for the defense. Figure out a way to slow him down. They did a really good job on, and I think this kid is better than that kid. But who was the good player was it Rambo from Miami last year? That was having
Charles
a great
Rambo.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Cooper did a fantastic job on him, and Brownlee too, I guess. But I think Cooper was with him for most of that game. It did a really good job on him, and so. Man, he's gonna. He'll have to answer the challenge. I don't think it's necessarily where we're gonna have Cooper chasing him all over the field, lining up on different sides of the field, just shadowing him. But he will be matched up against him a bunch, and you just can't give up big plays, man. You can't make Jaden Daniels. You don't give them a free 80 yards. Don't just give them. He's gonna run by you. There's no safety over the top. You're playing bump and run, and you get beat, and all of a sudden you get up 7 points on one play where it didn't even have to be a good throw. Just throw it out there because I don't know that Jane Daniels can light you up completing 12-yard passes all the way down the field. Make them do it. But, hey, again, what are we talking about LSU for, guys? Mm-hmm. We got Duquesne coming up in about 24 hours when you're listening to this. Or, 29, 32, whatever. I don't know what your listening habits are if you're an early riser. But it's all about – this is Duquesne week, guys. This is Duquesne week.
Seminole life. Wake up, boys. Will a wide receiver have 120 yards against the Dukes? Can the defense – No?
No. They're going to spread it around. They're going to spread it around too much for one guy to have 120. My opinion.
Yeah, you're probably right. Can the defense hold the Dukes to less than 175 total yards?
No. That's a lot. I mean, that's a great game. I don't know that that happens anymore. I think, especially if you're up 42-6 in the third quarter and you're starting to play backups, you're going to give up some plays, man, and there are going to be some busts because it'll be a bunch of guys that maybe aren't used to playing together.
But I think they'll roll their backups out too, so they have the experience of. I think you kind of reward some of your guys.
Oh, maybe so.
Hey,
you're right, could be
get to play in this cathedral.
That's right.
Which one would you, if you had to bet on one of those? Which one would you be more likely to bet on, though, Corey? Like a receiver going for 120 or the defense choking Duquesne down to less than 175?
I would say probably a receiver going for 120. Like maybe hit two big plays, 2 60-yarders, something like that.
Okay. I agree. Thanks for the question, Seminole Life. Nole fan 624 asks for a favorite game day tradition. Can't wait to see what this team looks like on Saturday. All the speculation aside, and finally watching Jordan Travis drop some dimes in the end zone to Wilson and company. Thanks again, go Noles. We work now. What was your favorite FSU game day tradition, Corey? Mine was I like partying in good old Indian Village. Good times.
Oh, I thought he meant like the band or the horse.
Oh.
Renegade.
Yeah,
mine. Does that count?
Yeah.
Like Renegade and Osceola? I think that's about as good as it gets in the country, in the world, dare I say. So that's my favorite FSU game day tradition. Used to be back in the day, Aslan. After he'd plant the spear, they'd release all the balloons on a Saturday night. All the garnet and gold balloons would go fill the air, fill the night sky, and kill probably a dozen birds. And then I guess you know how PETA is. You know how they are. They frown on that now, so they don't release 40,000 balloons anymore.
Was it them or the sea turtles? Was it the birds or the sea turtles?
I thought it was the birds, man. Right. I thought it was the birds. I think the sea turtles are more of a we can't. They're some reason they're eating our straws.
Yeah.
Which look, I think Darwin was on to something. If you're dumb enough to eat a straw, buddy, maybe you're not right for this world anymore.
Cole 4. Hello, first-time poster. Just want to say you guys and everyone at Warchant do an awesome job covering our favorite team. Thanks, Cole.
Oh, there you go. I like that. The way to read that, too, Aslan. I like that you picked that one.
I'm especially a fan of this podcast. I listen to it every morning while driving to school. I'm from a small town near Jacksonville called Yulee, home of Derrick Henry. Once a year, my dad's able to get free tickets from his work to one of our games against, let's just say, a lesser opponent. Last year, that game was Jacksonville State. It's safe to say that game has stung a little bit, but I'm looking for us to bounce back this year. So here's my question. While there's no wiping away the pain of that game, will FSU come out on top against their opponent in both of the games I get to attend this year, those being Duquesne and Wake Forest? Thanks.
I feel good about both. Feel really good about one, and then we don't know the Sam Hartman story and where exactly he will be in his, I don't know, rehab or recovery or his ability to play football. We just don't know really anything about that. But even if Sam Hartman was playing right now, as we talk on August 26th, I feel pretty confident that Florida State will beat Wake Forest. I feel very confident about the first one.
This dropped a few days ago earlier from the Winston-Salem Journal. Says that we're optimistic we'll get him back at some point this season. So will it be week 4 for most people? Is that how it works?
What's their
week,
schedule?
3, 4. Wake Forest's schedule?
Yeah. When's their bye week?
That's a good question. I'm not particularly sure, but I'll pull it up right here. They start off with VMI, and then they get Vandy, Liberty 17th, 24th. Wow, looks like theirs looks late.
So who do they play on the 24th?
It would be their bye week is October 15th.
So who do they play on the 24th?
The 22nd.
Thursday nighter.
I guess so. Yeah, they have one Thursday night game to start the season off September 1st. They play Army the week after us. They play Clemson the week before us, September 24th. Okay. Florida State after that. Army, week off, Boston College.
I mean, wouldn't you think maybe he misses 6 games, but Florida State certainly falls into that window. Or maybe he returns for Clemson. We really have no idea. It's all speculation. But if he's not playing, you really like Wake Forest. You really like Florida State's chances. But like I said, even if he is playing, you should be at a point now with this roster where you're beating Wake Forest at home. I mean, Sam Hartman isn't,
Riley
Tom
Skinner.
Brady. Yeah, well, he is. He's actually better than Riley Skinner, I think. Who was the other guy? Tanner Price? Was that one of their guys?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's better than he's better than those guys, but he's not incredible. So even him playing, you should the quarterback position isn't so much at a disadvantage that you should lose that game.
Yeah. In terms of Sam Hartman, I think it's like other injuries or medical conditions. There are certain landmarks or benchmarks he's going to have to hit, and as this goes on, we'll know more. We're going to see how he does and how things progress. We're optimistic that we will get him back this season, and we'll know a lot more in the next 2 weeks as to when that's going to be.
All right. Okay. There we go.
So, yeah, I mean, I think when maybe you just go ahead and kind of be a sacrificial lamb against Clemson, and you hope you have him back for Florida State. That way you can stay in the Atlantic chase. And, I mean, that's, 5 weeks from now. And he said we'll know more in the next 2 weeks.
Well, and that's a really soft schedule to start the year, right?
It is,
Didn't you say they have VMI and Vanderbilt and who else?
I think it's another non-conference team.
Yeah, and then Clemson. And then they go right into the teeth with Clemson and Florida State. So, yeah, that's a break, too, for Florida State. They play, I think NC State plays Clemson right before Florida State.
Yeah.
And Wake Forest plays Clemson right before Florida State.
I love this. Like, we've talked about Duquesne. We've talked about LSU. And we just talked about Wake Forest. It's
We're
good.
doing it. We're knocking it all down, man.
Yeah. Walking Nolo 1. What's up, Wake Up? It's game week. As most on here, I can't wait for Saturday. Here's my question. At what point during our games do you normally get up and pace around? With our pattern of close games, I usually find myself up and moving about during our second drive of the third quarter. Not a too serious question, I know, but with all these SEC fans over here in Mississippi, I'm so ready for the LSU game to be here. I'm ready for us to show everyone how far we've come. Obviously, we need to take care of business this first week, though. Amen, Walker. Thanks for all you guys do to make this offseason fly by. Go Noles.
I do not pace because we're sitting down in the press box. And I never did, even when I was going to the games or watching them as a fan. I didn't pace around that much, or ever really. The last time I remember pacing it, like watching a game, was in the COVID year of the baseball playoffs when the Braves had like a 6-1 lead in the ninth inning against the Dodgers to go up 3-1, and they put in their worst pitcher because literally Mike Tomlin couldn't get Brady's team out. They bring him in, and of course he gives up 3 runs immediately, and all of a sudden the tying run is on second base, and Melancon's in there, and I'm standing up like crouching and standing up, and crouching and standing up, and then he grounded out to third, and we won the game, and we were all me and Brady did a high five and a chest bump, and then the Dodgers won the next 3 games, so it didn't matter. But yeah, I'm not really the guy I've never really been the guy that stands up and paces that much. You?
Yeah, I know I would. I mean, especially because I was living by myself. I mean, if I had like a wife and kids like you did, I probably would just be a little bit more composed. But yeah, for sure. 13, Clemson game, pacing through my house, just dancing around as soon as Kelvin caught that touchdown. 2014.
Oh, you didn't
Louisville
watch
game.
that with anyone?
No, man, I was working, man. I actually like bailed out of I bailed out of work. I think that was the week. That was the week that like Ole Miss upset LSU in Oxford, and I was not there for it. But I did not care. I was like, whatever. I had to watch this.
That's a bummer, though. It would have been cool if you. I mean, that was such a communal experience for a lot of people listening to this show. It's a really fun experience and a fun memory, I'm sure. It's a little sad that you were not sad as in like you're a sad person. It just makes me sad that you didn't have anybody to celebrate with, because that was one of the great nights in Florida State history.
I'm texting all my buddies. We're all it's like, what is? And then I remember we're all going to I was living in Jackson. I'm like, listen, we're going to the Miami game. Everyone's like, I'm in. And then I got tickets for the Miami game. And then we went to the Miami game. And we all got to hang out for that. So it was a happy ending there.
There you go. Okay, good.
So yeah, and then 14, I remember the Louisville game. Like I would literally. I'd have it on in my office. I'm like, all right, my weekend dude, I'm like, hey, we're playing Louisville Thursday night. I'm going to do the 6 o'clock newscast, and I'm going to leave. You do the 10 o'clock, so I'm going to watch a Florida State game. He's like, all right, cool. Man, I've got it on in my office, and then as soon as I walk out of the office, I have it on my phone listening to Deckerhoff, and then I'm listening to it in the car, and it's just like, Louisville scores! And I'm like, oh my gosh, already? And then as soon as I got home, it was just like, it is on. Like, we were fighting for our lives. This is what this entire season is going to be.
Yeah.
But now I just whatever, again, it sounds weird. Again, you guys don't like me talking about this stuff. I felt so close to this program when Jimbo Fisher was our coach. Like that was my coach, man. I picked that guy out, not literally, but like I did. Like as soon as the Jeff Bowden stuff hit the fan, I'm like, I want that guy. We hired him. I'm like, do not lose him at any cost. If we have to push Bowden out, we have to push Bowden out. Keep that guy. And then he wins, and he brings all these great players in that are a lot of our favorites. Yep. And it's the same logo that I grew up. It's the same jerseys. Like nothing about this team makes me think about like the good times being a Florida State fan. And so that's why I miss the other guy. And let's transition to this question. Busby for Heisman.
Hey, before you do that, though, I was going to say, because you spoke about Deckerhoff, and again, I can't count on you, Aslan, to publicize my stories on Warchant, but I wrote a column about the new voice of the Seminoles, Jeff Culhane. You met him, right? You've been out of practice and met him.
I did the Zoom on him when he got announced, man.
Oh, there you go. Nice. So yeah, really nice guy. It's crazy. He was hired on June 20th, or they announced it on June 20th, which is Brady's birthday, by the way, so shout out. Yeah. 3 days later, his second son was born. Aww. Everett, I think. Everett is his name. So his wife was in Fargo while he was in Tallahassee, and she was with a newborn and a 3-year-old. Sarah is her name. They met at West Virginia. I'm giving you a whole backstory. But anyway, read the whole columm. But yeah, I thought it's interesting. Like he's taken over for one of the legends of the sport. And his first game is Saturday. So I talked to him for about 20 minutes earlier this week to see if he was nervous, scared, and get a little bit of his backstory on how he ended up at Florida State. And I did offer my services again.
Yeah.
Like, buddy, if you have any questions about Florida State lore, because he knows the basics, man. He knows the basics.
Oh, he's brushed up real quick. Yeah.
He knows more of the basics. He said Deckerhoff actually gave him some Florida State books he could look at and study, and he has. So he knows a lot of the names from the past anyway. Like guys like Snoop Minnis. And I know if you're listening to this show, a lot of you'd be like, well, everybody knows Snoop Minnis. Well, no, they don't. Not if you didn't grow up around this program. He wasn't Peter Warwick. He wasn't Anquan. But Snoop Minnis is a really important player in Florida State history, and there are so many of those guys from the dynasty era that get kind of lost with all the other greatness that was around them. So it's a voluminous amount of things you have to know about Florida State football from the Bowden era on. I told him, I'm like, man, if you ever need any questions, especially about the dynasty years, I'm right here. I'm a text away. Don't call me. I don't answer the phone, but I'm a text away.
All right, as I was talking about Jimbo Fisher, this question buzzed me for Heisman.
What a name.
Yeah. All right. We're going to start parsing down, reading to the questions. All right. Challenge. FSU somehow wins 10 games a season. Would you agree to the following? Aslan, will you publicly renounce your love for Lane Kiffin, profess your admiration for Mike Norvell as a superior head coach? No. Because I just don't believe that. It's 1 year, man. I mean, if Lane goes 2-10,
5-7,
P's all. Well, I don't know, man. He called plays in a national title game, man. He's won national titles. He is constructed unless it was Alabama, whatever. I get it.
Right. That is a qualifier. That is an important qualifier.
He still has won games. I mean, he's
Yeah. He's done it. He's done a fine job at Ole Miss, man.
Yeah, man. But I will be less skeptical about Mike Norvell. I'll give you that. I will give you that. I was thinking about that earlier today too. Even before reading this question, I'm like, Arkansas is going to go like 5-7, miss out a bowl. Florida State's going to go 8-4. Everyone's just going to come dunking on me. Oh, where's Sam Pittman now, Aslan? I'll be like, all right, good.
Man, I hope that happens. Don't you hope that happens?
Yeah, I didn't want Sam Pittman. I don't want Sam Pittman. I don't think Sam Pittman's a great coach, but like I'm just saying, he has done better. I don't want the coach from Missouri. I don't think Eli Drinkowitz is an awesome coach, but he's kind of done better. That's all I'm pointing at the fact. I mean, I don't want either of those guys. I mean, I wanted Lane. Corey, you were obviously one of the all-time great FSU fans, but if FSU fandom were in the Game of Thrones universe, your last name would have to be Snow. If FSU wins 10 games, let's make you legitimate and enroll you in a program where you can become an FSU graduate. If you agree to these terms, I'll donate $100 to Rising Spear or the Boosters for every win this season.
So I have to take one class? Is that right? Is that what he's saying? I have to take one class at Florida State?
Well, you could do you get a certificate in beverage management. I think that might be.
I'd rather get an honorary doctorate.
Okay.
I assume one day I'm going to be speaking at graduation. Yeah. And they can give me an honorary doctorate like they used to do Bill Cosby back in the day. How about that, by the way? I know Bill Cosby has done some pretty rough things over the years. This isn't anywhere close to what he was convicted of. But my man, remember at the end of the Cosby Show, and maybe you don't, maybe half of you don't because you're too young. It would always say like created or produced by Dr. William Cosby. And I'm like, all right, man, was he really a doctor? Did he get his doctorate at Temple? Like, that's awesome. I knew he was a track athlete. I was like, that's awesome if he got his doctorate at Temple. And it's like, no, he had an honorary doctorate degree, and he decided to make that, like, he called himself a doctor. And not ironically, I don't think. He, called himself Dr. William Cosby because he got an honorary doctorate.
Oh, nice.
Like Conan or something, like Conan Wood from Dartmouth or whatever. I don't know. I might be completely wrong. I might have made that up. He might actually be a practicing doctor. I think he got an honorary doctorate, though. And I don't want to drag Bill Cosby's name through the mud. That's not what this show is about.
Nole Dad 4L, wake up, my dudes. It's game day eve. That's awesome. First off, thanks for keeping your show family friendly. My daughter Reagan and I listen to you on the way to first grade every morning. Her favorite part is dancing to the intro. LOL. Question this week. 2001 to 2009 referred to as the lost decade. These last 4 years have been worse. That is true. So when we look back and call it what we're going to call it when we're hoisting our fifth natty in 8 years, what will we call it? I was thinking lose something or maybe losable simplicity. Either way, I look forward to your answers. Love you guys. Go Noles. P.S. My wife, pregnant with a boy, due next week. We're excited to bring another future Nole into the world. Hopefully he never has to hear about anything from Warchant other than which first-round pick is going first. Amen, brother. Amen. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
congratulations. Awesome. Did he say what the name was?
No, he just said they haven't. Yeah, just they got a boy due next week. Maybe they're going to pick it on the spot.
Okay.
How long did you? Actually, I'm not going to ask you that because we'll just go on 10 minutes talking about Brady.
I feel bad, by the way. It looks like I might have been wrong. I would like to apologize publicly to Dr. Cosby. In 1976, he earned his Doctor of Education from the University of Massachusetts Amherst, returning to the school after completing his Master's of Arts there in 1972. His dissertation discussed the use of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids as a teaching tool in elementary schools. So I would like to publicly apologize to Dr. William Cosby. Why did I think that? That's crazy. I knew he went straight from Temple into stand-up comedy. I didn't know he went back and got his doctorate, man. That's actually pretty impressive. Get off Bill Cosby's back, everyone.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
All right. I'm trying to dig myself a big hole.
These last four years. We'll call it reignition tradition. Because we use
that has a flair to it. Yeah. I like that. There's a ring to it.
Because we'll use this time to reignite everything. That's what it's going to be. Jay Spiz, he's giving us over-unders. He has a question about LSU, but I know Corey ain't having it.
Exactly right.
Come on, man. Over-under Jordan Travis 150 passing. Hammering the over.
Yeah.
Johnny Wilson 1.5 touchdowns. Over. I'm going to say over.
Okay. I was going to say under. I think they get him one, and then they move on to other receivers.
Micah Pittman, 55.5 punt return yards. Ooh, that's good. Over.
You got to figure they're going to punt a lot.
Yes.
If things are going well, man, they need to be punting 8 times in this game at least. So some of them are going to be not good kicks, and he won't be able to do anything but fair catch. But he'll get 4 or 5. He might get 4 pops at it. He's going to bust one for 30, right? Yeah, it's a good. I'm still going to go under, but it's a good number. I think he'll have a 30-yarder and then some 8-yarders.
Over under 48.5 total points scored for Florida State. Man, I don't want to say they better.
Over,
yeah.
Over.
Yeah, come on, guys. Come on. I mean,
get there, man. Don't struggle to score 35 against this team.
Yeah, if they win like 31-9, Winter Haven, Knoll. Game day is just Deion Sanders days away.
Yeah. Well, now it's just
Corey Sawyer?
No, he was 8. Shannon Baker was a famous number 1.
Oh, Clifton Abraham. I'm sorry. I was saying Clifton Abraham. Sorry.
Well, he was 2 as well. He was Deion. So 1, there are Corey Surrency or Kelvin Benjamin, right?
Graffonzo Thorpe.
Number 1?
Graffonzo
Thorpe. Yeah, there were a lot of ones in there. Sam Cowart was number 1 for a year.
Was Fred Rouse 1 or was he 5? Because I did the 5 funky questions with Fred Rouse.
I still think he was 1 though.
Yeah, I think it was 1.
Yeah.
Xavier Lee days away?
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Get some, everybody.
That's right. Remember how 1 was kind of cursed?
Yeah.
For a while, it was Rouse, then Xavier Lee, and then Corey Surrency. And then Kelvin Benjamin was like, yeah, what curse?
Yeah. All right. Let's say they beat Duquesne by 50. With all the talk of how pedestrian our tight end group is, okay, I read that all wrong, but let's get to the question. With all the talk about our pedestrian tight end group, my question is, who are your top 3 tight ends in FSU history not named O'Leary? He says Pearsall, Reggie Johnson. He left, I guess, 1 there for us to fill in the blank. Ryan Izzo on there somewhere?
Pat Carter is definitely there. He was a start of the dynasty. Was an All-American at tight end, like 87-ish. 87 was his last year. He's definitely got to be there. He's one of the top 3. Orson Mobley, like he played in the league for a decade, but he didn't do a ton at Florida State. Or maybe that was Zeke Mowat. Both those guys played a lot in the early 80s. I'm trying to think of like modern day tight ends.
I'll pick them then. There you go. Good, yeah.
The 90s, Reggie Johnson's a good one.
Lonnie Sprague.
Johnson. Not Ryan Sprague. Lonnie Johnson. I'll throw Lonnie Johnson in there too. He was good.
Crushed it. Thanks, Winter Haven Knoll. Love all the content, especially Wake Up Warchant. Go Noles.
Yeah, really, Florida State. Wouldn't you say that's maybe the one position? And no offense to the guys I just mentioned. Pat Carter was awesome. But maybe that's like the one position where they don't have a great history.
Well, you can't have them all, and if you got to take the L on one of them, I'll take
tight ends. Yeah,
yeah.
It'd still be cool. Yeah. It'd still be cool in this day and age to go get yourself a great one.
Well, hey man, Brian Courtney might be that guy. Win 9 games this year, and maybe Norvell, because Norvell's used this 3-back thing. He's got a little bit of juice from what he did in Memphis, so maybe he can pull somebody. Hopefully. Let's go to Ronier Gwinnett, Georgia Noles 86. That was the name on the old network and this new network. Everybody out there can join for only $1. Doesn't matter where you're from. Go to warchant.com. Wake up, fellas. I love the new platform. I'm glad you do. I do too, man. I like On3.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Yep. One of these days you'll start publicizing the things I write, Aslan.
I just want to hug you. I'm sorry, man.
No.
What does success on and off the field look like for Florida State football this season? Imagine we are at the end of the season. Who would be your offensive and defensive MVP for 2022? Who would be the first Seminole drafted in the 23 draft in what round? Oh, wow, lots from Ronier. Success, again, 8 wins, man. Just get to 8 wins somehow. There's no combination of like, well, what if they only beat these teams? I just think like that's a significant jump. There's no way you don't sneak in a win over at least Clemson, Miami, or Florida or LSU and get to 8 wins. I just don't see it happening. Like you
definitely got to beat one of those. In fact, Jeff and Tom did their annual
W's and L's
on Thursday's show, and Jeff had them at 8-4, and Tom had them at 9-3. Tom had them winning both LSU and Louisville, which I don't know that's going to happen. I certainly, of course, I don't know that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen, but it wouldn't stun me. But they both had them losing to Clemson and NC State, and I think they both had them losing at Miami. And then Tom had them winning everything else. I think Jeff had them losing to LSU. So either way, and both had them beating Florida. That's a fine year. That's a good year. But as you can point out, you can get some breaks. Or have a couple of guys that just become transcendent type players. I don't know that there's any of those guys on this roster, but it hadn't been disproven yet. So you might have a couple of guys that have great years, and then that changes the complexion of everything. And when we go to what's a successful season? Yes, 8 wins definitely. 7 wins, no, it's not. It's an okay season. It's an improvement. I don't think you would tell Mike Norvell right now, hey man, you went 7-5. In 4 months, you're going to be the head coach of a 7-5 football team. I don't think he's doing cartwheels about that. I think he feels like he would. I think he'd be disappointed, and I think he feels like something would have gone wrong for them to be 7-5. And I'm kind of there now. You can't lose every close game, man. You need to go. You need to find a way to get to 8 or 9. You got to start winning games. But what I was going to try to say is, again, what I like to do with the context, and I'm all about context, Aslan. That 2020 team was horrific. If they would have played a full schedule, that's a 3-8 football team. Probably 2-9 because they weren't supposed to play Duke, right?
Correct.
So they would have been a 2-10 football team with that crazy win over North Carolina and then Jacksonville State. Yeah. And we didn't know what a juggernaut Jacksonville State was. That might be the best win of Norvell's career. So they were a 2-10 football team, numbers wise, metrics wise, schedule wise. They didn't have to play Florida. They didn't have to play Clemson. They would have gotten destroyed by both teams. Literally name your score, destroyed. Florida's offense was as good as Trevor Lawrence's offense that year at Clemson. So they went from 2-10 to we'll just give them what their record was. 2-10 to 5-7. In my opinion, they were a 2-10 football team in 2020 if they'd have played the schedule. They went 5-7 the next year. Should have been 6-6, but whatever. So if we go to 2-5, the next logical step is to get yourself to 8. That's a steady improvement. That's progress. But I think, last year's team should have just been 6-6, and it still bothers me. It's never going to not bother me. We talked about it on headlines. When do we get over it? What does Norvell have to do for me to stop talking about the Jacksonville State game for the rest of my life? Win back-to-back championships?
Just one, right? I mean, come on. We're not being that.
I don't know, man.
picky.
We were still talking about the NC State 12. I still talk about it. And he won one the very next year.
Yeah, we
that
left.
Still sticks with me.
If he was here, I don't know if he would still be talking about it. Maybe though.
But it's not too much to ask when you go from 2 wins ish to 5/6 wins last year to get to 8 this year. It is a tougher schedule, but it's marginally tougher, right? They are not playing the NFC South. They have very winnable games. So go win them.
Yeah. Then off the field, I don't know, man. Top 15 recruiting class or get some big-time transfers. Just keep doing what you're doing in the transfer portal. Offensive MVP is going to be your quarterback. It's just the way it is. I mean, I don't know, unless Johnny goes 70 for 1,315 touchdowns.
There you go. Make that happen, Johnny.
Defensive MVP, I will say Fabian Lovett.
I say Jamie Robinson, and I also think Jamie Robinson is the first pick that you have in 2023.
I will say Fabian.
I would say Jamie will be a second rounder.
Round. I'll say Fabian second round. Boom.
Okay, I think Jamie's a third rounder.
Shake and bake Nole. This is a tough one to answer, but I don't really want to type it either. He's a new member. Too good of a deal to pass up. He's from Jacksonville. Monk Bonassort. Do you think his passing had a negative effect on Jimbo and how things ended at FSU? Ira did a lot of really good writing. I mean, in the time when Jimbo left, and one of the things that he discussed in some of his articles was just the fact that Monk was such a, I don't know, confidant, but just a very good sounding board buffer between Jimbo's very brusque and abrasive sort of disposition and then the more caring, kind people at Moore and as well as Westcott. So to have that guy to kind of keep everything calm and level was a really indispensable and invaluable thing for the program at that point. And then once Monk lost his battle to his illness, that kind of started Jimbo just being Jimbo that you all hate and everything. So there's certainly a correlation there, right?
Yeah, there was no insulation between Jimbo and Moore and Jimbo and Westcott even. Monk was that guy. Monk was invaluable. He was indispensable to what they were doing then because, man, Jimbo could be impossible. But impossible like all, I don't throw this word around lightly, but not all, but many genius savant people are. That, directors, like film directors could be monsters, They might be awesome at what they do, but they can be monsters and impossible to work with. And so, but you don't want the actors to feel awful, so somebody else has to kind of wear it and be the in between. And Monk, I can't even imagine the conversations Monk had with Jimbo over those 4 or 5 years. Just some of the ridiculousness that would come out of Jimbo's mouth. And again, Jimbo is an incredible football coach and a very, very good recruiter. But he's also a bit of a maniac, like a lot of football coaches are. And it was such a great buffer between Monk and Stan Wilcox, or between Monk and the boosters, where he could calm down Jimbo's message. And he could be like, look, Jimbo, let me talk to him. I got what you're saying. I will pass this along. And he was like the teaspoon of sugar. Like, he would get Jimbo's message across, but he would do it in a way that didn't end up being chairs flipped over. And things being said and I'm not saying this happened, but you certainly wouldn't be surprised if Jimbo just screamed at people and said, I'm never working with you. I'm never working with you again. You're an idiot. Like, that stuff wouldn't happen with Monk. But it became so contentious after Monk because there was no buffer. And look, man, who knows what would have happened? He also was going through a pretty messy divorce and a pretty public divorce, unfortunately, in this city. And so that didn't help matters either. And but yeah, Monk was a very, very big part of Florida State's success in the Bowden years, and then obviously in the Jimbo years in a much different capacity.
Nole for life, CO 2007. Not sure if that's class of 2007 or maybe he lives in Colorado now. Aslan, Corey, wake up, longtime listener, first-time poster from Valdosta, famous folk, Thomas Rhett, Malcolm Mitchell. Question, how does Duquesne stack up against last year's Jacksonville State team? Better, worse, about the same? Corey has said that a big win against the Dukes wouldn't say much. I disagree somewhat. Jacksonville State made us look foolish last year. If the Dukes are about the same or better than last year's Jacksonville State team and FSU puts up a big number, would that not show improvement that we've all been craving for? I'm just looking for a reason to have some hope after what I believe will be our first opening season win in 6 years. Yeah, they're not as good. I just don't think they have athletes the way at least Jacksonville State had. Jacksonville State's quarterback was a drop down from Clemson. I think Duquesne's quarterback, one of their dudes, is a drop down from Ohio. And Jacksonville State's
their big
coach,
transfer receiver is from Marist.
Yeah, Gross had been there for a long time too. I mean, Jacksonville State had a little bit of a winning pedigree as well.
But it's not like Jeff and I had a very spirited debate about this because, of course, he acts like he knows everything about FCS football. He's like, it's not even close. They beat the brakes off Duquesne. It's like, dude, you don't know you can't know that. You can't just know that. And he doesn't. He's just very opinionated because Jacksonville State's in the South, and they get a lot of, obviously, I assume their whole roster is from the southeast portion of the United States. And, as we've said many times, we're much more athletic down here. Just that's how it is, guys.
Evidenced by us guys.
The people, on this podcast for sure. But Duquesne isn't horrible. This is not UMass.
Right.
This is a competent football team. So in that regard, it would be a nice showcase to demonstrate to your fans we're not going to look, even if they won that game last year because Malik McClain makes that catch in the end zone on the 4th and 1, which was another just doozy of a play call. But say he makes that catch last year and they win by a touchdown. It was still a disgusting game.
Right.
It's just disgusting.
Yes. Yeah.
And it wasn't anything to feel good about. If you can go out of there and dominate, I guess that does say that you've made a step in the right direction mindset-wise. But I also would say that, this is the opener, so you better be up for this game. Like, you can't look past, it's the season opener. You should be excited and you should be playing hard. The Jacksonville State game was 5 nights after the Notre Dame game. And that was an enormous, an emotional, passionate game, and they went and they slept walk through that Jacksonville State game, at least the first half, and they probably slept walk through the entire practice. They better not be doing that now. They haven't earned the right. They haven't won anything, but also it's the opener. You're supposed to be excited to play for this. So I guess in that regard, it can tell us something. I just don't think most people will take a lot out of it if you beat the brakes off them, because that's what you were supposed to do. But it certainly beats the alternative.
You didn't do it to that team last year. So the fact that you're able to do
but
it to
I think this
somebody.
team, like we said, I think this team is a little worse than that team, than that Jacksonville State team, but not appreciably so that you couldn't respect a 50-point win. Okay. If you beat them by 50 points, I think, yes, you'd be like, okay, this team is more serious than last year's team. This team is better across the board and can actually out-athlete and out-physical teams at that level that they could not do last year.
Spartan Noles 71, it's Ralph. Aloha, guys. How's it? I'll be at Corner Pocket 5 p.m. today. Hope to see all the War Chant Ohana on hand to rally the troops with our spirited support and fanatical exuberance. Thanks, Ralph.
There you go, Ralph.
Based on what you all have been able to observe, has fan expectation for this year gotten a little too big, or are we ready to compete for all 60 game minutes and all 13 games we play this year? Well,
I think it's right where it needs to be, right?
Yeah. A little. There's some people going like this 9-10 win thing, but yeah, sure, why not? Why not?
But nobody's saying they're going to win them all. I don't. Florida State.
Who would though? I mean, who?
But how could you be delusional?
Yeah, you know.
But I mean, I think it's okay to be optimistic.
Yeah.
And look, again, this team last year was, and this isn't how you play. This isn't how life works. But they were a few plays away from being a 7 or 8 win team. They didn't make them, but they were there. So it's not too much to ask to make those plays this year. Make those, and if you make those plays, those winning plays at winning times, if Fitzgerald makes the field goal in overtime, if Travis doesn't get hurt against Florida or doesn't throw the pick, or Mackenzie Milton can catch a snap, or all these other things that happen, Jarvis Brownlee can push a kid out of bounds. You win 7 or 8 games, so it's not too much to ask for them to make those plays now, because they weren't that far off last year, and they're supposed to be better. So if you're better than you were last year and you were close to a 6-7 win team last year, yeah, I don't think it's too much to ask to sniff 9 wins. Just isn't. This is year 3, 2.5, however you want to phrase it. It's year 3. You can sniff 9 wins. There's no rules against it.
All right, let's keep some more. We'll do a few more here, and then we'll respond to this.
Let's go, Aslan.
Raise the Knoll. His question is going to be which.
Are you going to be at Corner Pocket, by the way, to see Ralph?
Probable.
NFL okay, you're probable.
Probable.
It's to be determined, but it's probable. Okay.
He asked which running back will have the most carries during the first quarter versus Duquesne. While you think about that, Corey, I'll read the rest of his stuff, which is he's been listening to us for years. He never posted because he shared an account with his dad. I won't say my dad's name because, like you guys, I don't believe in free advertising. That said, drink your DeLuna, eat your Zaxby's, enjoy a cold one at Corner Pocket, and show off that amazing smile from Dr. Heather Birch.
There you go. Cross-promoting now.
And you can make an account just like I did, everybody. It's only $1. I'm from Miami, more specifically Kendall. That's where A-Rod grew up and claimed to be the hood during an interview last year.
Yeah.
I assure you it's a pretty nice middle-class suburb. Toafili, most carries, first quarter Duquesne?
Trayshawn.
Okay.
Trayshawn.
Let's go all the way down to this one. Corey is my dad. First off, I want to say hi to Papa Corey. Still waiting on you to bring back that gallon of milk.
I sure hope this isn't Brady. With $1, Brady might have done it. I got him one of those stupid kid credit cards, so who knows?
Anyway, my question is, at what point do you think FSU should be able to pull away from the Dukes on Saturday? If it's still a 2-score game in the third, should that not be concerning? Thanks for the work. Go Noles. P.S. Love you, Dad.
I love you too, son. It's good to hear from you. You should post more often. Yes, that would be concerning. If they're up 10 points in the third quarter,
yes.
If it's like 20-10, yeah, that's concerning.
Well, yeah, even if it's 45-35,
well, that's
points,
more concerning.
Yeah,
that's even more concerning. But yeah, either way, you slice it, 10 to 14 points in the third quarter. That's not good news.
Favorite pregame meal for a noon game from Gator Kirk, he asks.
For a noon game is eggs.
What's your favorite pregame meal for a noon game, afternoon game, and an evening game?
Oh, I don't. Scrambled eggs with cheese is my morning tailgate. If I was going to do it, with a little bit of registers in there too. Now, don't sleep on the register sausage.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have my usual breakfast for the nooner. Probably sandwich.
Is that a banana?
No, man. Get my scrambled eggs, my half avocado, my overnight oats with some strawberries and blueberries.
Okay, all right.
And also 2 prunes. By the way, I love prunes for real.
Ugh.
Yeah,
right.
They do nothing though. What they're supposed to do, they don't do that for me, unfortunately. A little sandwich action, a little pastrami, blackened turkey, boar's head, make some noise. Zaxby's evening games, kicking chicken sandwich.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I'd do the Zach salad. Sometimes I'll do the big Zach snack though. But trying to eat a little healthier now. I'll do the salad, but with the fried chicken.
Okay, 2 more we'll do because these guys. Drill Sergeant Porter's been around for a while, so we'll get to his. I think that's one of our more tenured people left on.
I feel like we've rolled through about 20 of them.
Well, we've done over impressive. 20, but there's 30 people though. We love all of you. Welcome. Wake up, game week. I will be there Saturday. Wondering if Corner Pocket has any specials or does anything for game days.
I mean, they show the game with the volume up, but I don't know that they do any Saturday specials.
Okay.
I'll talk to Bill, see if he's got something. Maybe he'll do something for LSU, but he'll be in New Orleans, so don't know what Corner Pocket's going to be doing for the big game.
I would love to stop by there and try their wings before heading over to the stadium.
We'll definitely do that. Yeah. They're really good.
One thing I'm looking forward to Saturday is to see how we control the line of scrimmage offensively. Hopefully we won't even need to throw the ball that often because the run game is working like it should against an overmatched opponent. Thank you, Go Noles.
Yeah, that'd be a good sign, right?
I want to throw it everywhere, man. I want LSU to see the full display of what we have so they can't, this fear. I want them to just see fear. Like, golly, how are we going to stop this guy? And now he's throwing to that guy, and he runs too sometimes. And then he hands the ball off sometimes. Oh, my God, what are we going to do? I want all of it. I want the full disposal of everything.
I was just looking at
Corner Pocket's website?
No, at the Jacksonville State box score. I didn't remember them running for 200. That Florida State ran for 202 yards. McKenzie was 18 of 34 for 133 yards. See, I thought the problem last year was they couldn't run the ball. But Corbin had 15 for 109. Ward had 8 for 45. So your two main tailbacks had 23 carries for 154 yards. That's not bad. Now, Toafili was not good. He was 10 for 22, and the Milton had 16 yards lost. But, yeah, man, 18 for 31 for 133 yards for McKenzie. That's rough. So, yeah, that said, I guess they kind of controlled the line of scrimmage a little bit last year against Jacksonville State. They couldn't do anything in the passing game. Zilch. 18 completions for 130 yards against an FCS defense is embarrassing. Well, the whole game was embarrassing. So that said, yeah, run for 200 yards. You need to. Yeah, I mean, it would be a really bad look if you didn't. But we expect that. They did that a lot last year. Like 8 times last year they ran for over 200 yards. Like Aslan said, man, you've got to make some stuff happen in the passing game. Now, it can happen off the rushing attack, but you've got to start making plays in the passing game. And, yes, it's just Duquesne, quote-unquote, but go feel good about your passing game and go find a rhythm and make some plays, man. Because that was the biggest that's the biggest reason they lost last year against Jacksonville State. They couldn't throw the ball with any real production. And Keyshawn Helton dropped like a 70-yard touchdown pass.
He did. All right, that's a wrap for us. My Truth, Okie Knoll, Calvin Duke, which transposes the D and the C on Dalvin Cook.
Okay.
Chasium 2, Knoll Boyo 2, Warpath Knoll, Up North Knowles Guy, I Am Ira, Tagan, Knowles _number_1, and Sam Stewie 52. We will hop on the boards and reply to your questions. You will already have seen them by now. Corey, do go on there. Sam Stewie's question is for you specifically, so make sure you go reply to him.
Okay. I'm running out right now after this to go play a little Fringe trivia.
Oh boy.
But hopefully when I get back tonight I'll remember this. If not, remind me tomorrow and I'll definitely respond.
My goodness. Well, there's a bunch. I'm not doing all these. We got to split them up.
Man. I know you. I'll see the ones you respond to, and then the ones you don't take. I'll take
odds. You take evens. You can tell which post numbers there are. They're in the top right corner of the post. So I'll do.
Okay.
Odds.
All right. There you go.
You do the evens. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget happy hour 5:30, 6:30 Corner Pocket tonight. Then the pregame show 2:00 Hotel Indigo. Come hang out with everybody. Most everybody should be there. Watch through Dominic Robinson 5:00 game time. Myself and he first half. Tom Lang and him bringing you home second half, and then the postgame show with Gene and Tom. Go to warchant.com, subscribe.
Don't forget the wake up, the Warchant rap we do on YouTube, Ira and I, after the game on Saturday. That's always a big hit. Yeah. And then, subscribe to the dang website, man. You're going to want to read what we have to say after the game, and then the next day you'll get to see Ira's 3-2-1. You'll get to see my column right after the game. That's something you can't see unless you're a member. You'll also get to comment on the game with a bunch of other Florida State fans and get in arguments and get to agreements. There's a lot of agreeing on the board as well on the tribal council. So go join for $1. The football season is here. It's not lasting forever. I'd be stunned if we're still offering this deal after Labor Day. So you got about a week left, man. Maybe. So go take advantage. Let's go.
I was going to say something, but you just totally knocked me off my spot. It's fine.
Sorry, Aslan. That's for you not ever publicizing my great content over at warchant.com.
Warchant.com. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch up with you folks on Monday. Can't wait. Enjoy your weekend.